boy was murdered. I can now feel that I'm qualified to tell you is that you've been hiding around the people too long. You. When I asked you where was the reward money for those 4 boys, you told me that it was no money. Not one dime for 4 black boys murdered. Not one dime reward you put on those 4 boys. You said it wasn't in the budget. All the money you get every year? And then I have knowledge to know that I can't play nice anymore. I have knowledge to know that you are giving personal checks to one of the leaders of this homicide leader. That's right, yeah, you don't know, I know. So therefore, these leaders is not going to take on because you're giving them private money. But I'm saying that you need to be taken out of office. No, that I can't play nice anymore. I have knowledge to know that you are giving personal checks to one of the leaders of this homicide leader. That's right, yeah, you don't know, I know. So therefore, these leaders is not going to take on because you're giving them private money. But I'm saying that you need to be taken out of office. But I'm saying that you need to be taken out of office. But I'm saying that you need to be taken out of office. And your private investigators, I got one more thing to say. Your private investigators that's supposed to be doing all the solving of the homicide, they all need to be terminated.
Heavenly Father, may I holler at you briefly. I wanna meet the president, but will he meet me? Scared to look inside the eyes of a thug nigga. We tired of being scapegoats for this capitalistic drug dealing. I'm hypocritical with liberty. That blind bitch ain't never did shit for me. My history full of casket and scars. My own black nation and war, whole family behind bars. And they wonder why we scarred. 13 looking hard, sister had a baby as an adolescent when was gone. Somewhere in the middle of my mind is a nigga on the tightrope screaming let him die. Can't lie, I'm a thug, drowning in my own blood, looking for the reason that my mama strung out on drugs. Damn to die for everything I represent, man, every word in my letter to.
Welcome, y'all, to the Sala Haquekya show. I am your guest host, Jamil Patterson, also known as The Million. We in the building, and we want to say peace to all the children, hoping they grow up into making a million. So today, we're about to do an interview with District 10 candidate Sala Haquekya. She has been an advocate in the city of San Francisco for 30 years. In April 2017, she created a reward homicide fund initiative along with present-day Mayor of San Francisco, London Breed, and it was endorsed by Mayor Ed Lee. She also created nonprofit grassroots in San Francisco called YYY China Marindi, Mothers Saving Our Children. How you doing today, Sala?
I'm doing worthy, and yourself?
Yes, I'm doing pretty good.
Hi. Yes.
So, that was a very powerful and fiery video. So tell me, what was that video about?
That particular piece that you just played was during the time of the Mario Woods shooting, when the young man was executed by the San Francisco Police Department. And myself had came to the conclusion, every one of us saw what happened to Mario Woods. And for the chief at that time, Chief Sir, to say that it was justified, we as a community knew that it was totally unacceptable. Mind you, myself had been observing Chief Sir for almost 1 year during that time to watch to see how he was going to handle the case of my son, Yalani Ye Maschinya-Marinde, Harif Achan, Emmanuel, and David O'Neill.
Oh, that sounds chanting. I love the chant. So the YY, so the foundation is named after your son.
Yalani Yemas Chinya Miranda, and then the creativity of it, why me and my sister Yolanda Banks Reed named it, because she remembered his middle name, and I was trying to figure out what it needed to be. But the why isn't that interesting? It goes into a question. Why Chinya Miranda? And I realized that the reason for the why Chinya Miranda is to save a nation of people. What you did not see there is that I'm also the creator and the initiator of the cultural flags, the black, red, and green flags, 200 poles on 3rd Street. Myself made that happen just as well after the killing of my son.
So going back to the video, right? So, that was a police commission meeting. And you got them all fired up, too. Right? And you said they need to be terminated. Right, so.
Absolutely.
So to my knowledge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to my knowledge,
yes.
no call to remove Greg Sherman till you made.
And I thank you for always giving that credit. It wasn't just the Mario Woods, it was the observation. I watched over the years what was happening over a particular year, and I saw the attributes of Chief Sir, which it was very hidden. They say you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't get fooled all the time. So I knew that it was time. I had meditated, and I knew that it was time to speak the active word that he be removed. And you acknowledged that was the beginning of others coming in and saying that he should be removed. And then but you got to speak it. Anything that comes into reality, first you have to speak it. Once it's speaking, but you got to be careful. It's got to be spoken by the person that has the conviction to know. You just don't speak something erroneous. You have to know their characteristics and their attributes. And once it's spoken into the atmosphere, then what you put out, it would not become void.
Powerful sister, speaking things into existence.
That's what it is all about.
We turn the water into wine.
You see?
For the Bayview Hunters Point, District 10, right? So
yes.
Let's transition to
yes.
To a little more serious matter.
Yes.
Give us a little background on kind of why you do what you do. You are the mother of a violent crime victim, and we all know black on black or violence in our community has been a long problem. Can you speak to that? You were speaking to that a little bit earlier.
Well, one of the reasons I am running is the contribution of the murder of my son. Even though I had ran before, to be honest, but I only ran just to do it because I knew I could. I was in a position I didn't run to win, but I think the universe was putting me in a position knowing that my son was going to be murdered to be able to take on going into this political corruption. You have to have the right spirit, and because of my son being murdered, it's like a spirit that's following me to go in it, because I realize that something needs to be changed. It's not just about my son. It's been many of our children being murdered in the United States and also in San Francisco, and it has not been acknowledged, as you had spoken, that the United States of America looked at us as 3/5 of a person. So that meant that we were not even considered fully human. And with that said, that is one of the reasons why so many of these black, indigenous, Hebrew boys are being murdered and the cases are not solved, is because they do not look at us as human.
So speaking of that too, right? So your son, he wasn't murdered by himself. It was a quadruple homicide?
Yes, 4 black boys.
So that's like, usually when something like that happens, man, they create a day of remembrance. It becomes a historical type of thing, and it seems like when it happens with our people, they just kind of brush over.
And wasn't even Chief Sir made a statement the day after my son was murdered, and the 4 young men, that they knew who killed my son, mind you. And so I watched him for a year to see when was he going to make an arrest, and they did not make an arrest. So I had to step in and force the city to make the arrest 16 months later. That is why I said he had to go, because they knew these boys, all these cases is unsolved. Why is that? And that should teach us something, that we mothers fight back. I went to London Breed. My son was killed in District 5, London Breed, during the London Breed reign as president. And I went to London Breed, and she asked me, what did I want? And I asked her, I said, what do you think I want? I want an arrest. And I shared with her, I had to tell her that she needed to make the arrest by August the 6th. I gave them an ultimatum. It was the first week of July, a year and a half. I told them they had August the 6th. And if they did not make their arrest by August the 6th, I was wrapping myself around the pole in Fillmore, Laguna, and Hayes, and I was bringing my whole army in the little quaint neighborhood of other nationalities. You understand what I'm saying? And with that said, I received a phone call 3 weeks later saying, Miss Chandler, we are calling to inform you that an arrest had been made for the murder of your son, Yalani Chinya Marinde, 16 months later. So what is that saying? That for us to make anything happen in San Francisco, we have to take responsibility and the power of ourselves to make it happen. They're not going to give you anything. And that's one of the reasons I'm running, because I have what it takes to make sure that justice is served for the disenfranchised community. It's not just about jobs. It's not just about housing. It has to be the right spirit to go in and hold each and every one accountable for the condition. It doesn't make sense for us to be in this condition and it's almost 0%. The housing, the economics, the education. It doesn't make any sense for us to be in this situation. So what is wrong? Something is missing. What's missing is the spirit of conviction. What's missing is the spirit of integrity. What's missing is the spirit of morals and values for life itself. If we don't have any moral or value for life itself, how are we going to make change? It's not about taking a political position. It's not about focusing on raising money. Who can raise $250,000? Who can raise the most money? What does that have to do with social justice? What does that have to do with saving lives and doing what the people need and comparing to say, oh, this person can raise the most money? So we have stepped away from really what this whole issue is about. It's about saving humanity.